loves. So for today's project, what you're going to need is a rotary cutter, a ruler, 3/4 of a yard of fabric of your choice. You're also going to need a cutting mat. You're going to need fiber fill. The brand I chose was Polyfill. You're going to need a sewing machine with coordinating thread. And then also you're going to need a candy corn template, sewing pins, a glue gun with extra glue sticks. You're going to need an iron, an ironing board, a fine tip fabric marker, a knitting loom or a pom-pom maker, whatever you prefer to call it. And then you'll also need scissors and a small skein of each of the 3 yarns, white, yellow, and orange. So go ahead and grab all your supplies and then meet me back up at the table so that I can show you how to make this super cute, super fun candy corn pillow. Okay, so I am going to begin this tutorial by showing you guys how to use this knitting loom because the knitting loom is going to be a big part of this pillow. We're going to need all these little pom-poms. And if you've never used a knitting loom, you're going to need to know how to make a pom-pom. So what I'm using is the smallest pom-pom maker out of the kit. And I'm going to look and see if it tells me what size it is. Yes, it's going to be the 3.8 centimeter one. So it's really small and they go by really easy. They open like this on both sides. Okay, so to demonstrate, I'm going to just use some of this nice orangey coral color yarn. Just pull out a little bit of your yarn. And you're going to have, it's going to be like this. There's going to be 2 pieces that attach together and you're going to open the one side like that. You're going to go ahead and add in your yarn in there. Like that. And then you're just going to go ahead and begin wrapping your yarn around. Now, once you get to the bottom, and you don't have to make it perfect, I mean you can. It's still going to turn out to be a perfect pom-pom. So I just want to show you guys how that looks on there. Like that. And then you're just going to go ahead and put it through. It almost looks like little bunny teeth. You're going to put it through that hole right there. Close it up. Okay? Once you get that, then you're going to open this side. And I just pull my yarn straight through the center of it. If you guys see that. So there's like little divots in between the two. You're going to slide the yarn through there. Open it up. And then just wrap it all the way around again on this side. And then for this one, I don't slide it through that little bunny tooth. I just leave it open. Close it up. Then I'm going to take my scissors. They're these little springform scissors that actually came in the pack. And I will actually link this knitting loom in the description box for you guys in case you want to pick up one. There's a couple different brands. It really doesn't matter which brand as long as it's a pom-pom maker. So then you're just going to snip the bottom off like so. And then you're going to take your scissors. You're going to go in between the yarn strands. cut all the way down. Make sure you cut all the way down through all the yarns. All right, then you're gonna flip it over. You're gonna do the exact same thing to the other side. Make sure you get all the yarns. And like, there we go. So now this is what it should look like. It should be just all the yarns trimmed like so. Now I'm gonna take this piece of my yarn and I'm gonna hold my little knitting loom pom pom maker, and then I'm gonna put the yarn through like so on both sides. Give it a quick tie like that. So it should be tied like that. What you're gonna do is you're gonna open one of the flips, and then you're gonna open the opposing flip, pull it out. Now this is when I just tighten it up just a little bit more, because if you'll notice in the center there's a little metal piece that sticks through that won't let you tighten up your string all the way. So just go ahead and gently pull it out the rest of the way. Tie it as very taut. You want it taut because you don't want your pom-poms to fall apart. And then you're just gonna go ahead and finish knotting it so it's in a double knot like so. And then you have a pom-pom. Now this pom-pom is almost ready to be used. We just have to tidy it up just a little bit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna smash it down flat. This is the way that I like to do it. You don't have to do it this way. However you find works best for you to tidy up your pom-pom will be perfect. So I just snip off all the little extra threads, and then I'll go around the circle to kind of even up everything. Like that. There'll be a few little stragglers. Don't worry about those, just trim them off and keep on going. All right. So, and then that's it. You just shake it up in your hand just a little bit, kind of get it a little texturized, and there you go. There's your pom-pom. Super easy to do. Okay, so now what you should be having is two 18 by 18 squares, and you can use any fabric that you want for this. I chose candy corn because it is a candy corn pillow. Now if you want this exact candy corn fabric, I will go ahead and link it down in the description box below, and then I'll also try and link the yarns as well. Now I know the coral yarn, I got it at Dollar Tree, so I'm not sure if they have any more. But yeah. So now, and I'm going to show you something because it is supposed to be an 18.5 by 18.5 square. So what I went ahead and did, because mine was on the folded edge, I just left my folded edge straight so I wouldn't have to sew that back together. You can do that or you can cut it. Either way would work perfectly. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to go ahead and flip it inside out. And I'm going to go ahead and pin around the perimeter of my pillow. But I'm going to leave probably this much open, just enough to maneuver my hand in and out of it so I can do the stuffing. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this pinned up, and I'll be back to show. Okay, so now we have everything pinned, and right here is where my opening is going to be. You can choose any place in your pillow to be your opening, but you do need an opening just at least big enough for your hand to fit in there, for your hand to go from the opening down to each point of your pillow so that you can stuff that batting in there. So let's go ahead and begin sewing. So these are the settings that I normally use for my sewing machine to just do a straight stitch on the machine. Make sure your machine is threaded properly. And then here at the bottom, when you get down to your needle, I like to make sure that my thread is underneath the presser foot. Whew, bless me, I'm sorry. I like to make sure that my thread is underneath the presser foot because that's when you run into problems with tension if your thread is not under the presser foot. So that is just a good little tip. I also like to trim off any extra threads so I don't have like a lot of little dangling threads on my projects. You don't have to do that. That's just personal preference. So I'm going to go ahead and get this loaded in here, and then we're going to go ahead and start sewing. And we're going to sew this all the way around except for that opening that we're going to leave for our hand to go in. We're going to sew that all the way down at a 1/4 inch. So let's go ahead and get started. I hope you guys can see this well. Okay, go in a couple inches, and then always, on my machine, it's just this little loop-de-loo. You guys can see it. It's just like a little loop-de-loo, and that's what my back stitch button is. Now, on different machines, it's going to be different. You're just going to want to look at your manufacturer guide to see what your back stitch is. Some machines have like a little, almost looks like a little button on the front that you press it and then it'll back stitch. But again, just look at your machine and see. So we're going to do a quick back stitch on that. Okay, so once it's back stitched, that's just to reinforce the opening stitch. Then you're going to go ahead and start sewing. Now, when you get to the pins, go slowly because you don't want to run over a pin. That's how you break a needle. So go ahead and pull the pin out when you get close to the pin. And you'll be able to tell when you're getting close to a pin. You'll be able to feel it, it'll stab you, or you'll see it. Whichever happens first, happens first. Okay, so this is the point where I am going to leave, let me put this back. I'm going to leave probably about that much space, just so I have space for my hand to go in. Now, because we're at the beginning of a stitch, we still want to do that back stitch just to reinforce our pillow. So I'm going to go ahead and do a back stitch, just a couple stitches back, and then it'll go forward a little bit, just a couple stitches forward. Perfect. So go ahead and lift that foot up, raise the needle to the highest point, and then go ahead and pull out the thread. You're going to go ahead and trim that as close to the pillow as possible. Now, we're going to go back in. We're going to skip that space we're leaving open for our hand. We're going to go back in, set the presser foot back down, and we're going to go ahead and begin stitching again. Okay, we're going to go in a couple stitches, and then we're going to do our back stitch, and then we're just going to back stitch just a few stitches back. And again, that's just to reinforce the pillow because you don't want the stitches coming undone. When you're snuggled up on the couch watching a movie with your pillow, you just don't want your stitches to come undone. And you want to keep these pillows for years and years to come for your fall and Halloween decor. Okay, we're coming to the end again, so again, you're going to go ahead and back stitch a little bit. And then we're going to go through and finish off the pillow. All right, lift your presser foot up and then release your thread and go ahead and trim off the excess. Now, you can go ahead and put your sewing machine up at this point unless you want to close it up with the machine. There are 3 different options to close it up. At the end, I will tell you those whenever we get to that. So go ahead and turn off your sewing machine and just push it out of the way for now. And you see I've got some crazy threads. I just brush those off because when I'm done with my projects, I go ahead and just vacuum. Okay, so now you just want to trim off any excess threads, and we did a pretty good job of not having a lot of excess threads. So what I do when I'm working with points, just to make sure my points are really nice, I take my scissors and I go ahead and trim off the corners. All right, so the corners are all trimmed, and this is what the pillow is looking like so far. Go ahead and find your opening, which mine is going to be over here, and then pop the pillow inside out. And once you have it inside out, I'm going to show you just a couple of different tricks that I use. Well, I'm just going to show you one actually. There's a couple things that you can do, but this is the thing that I like to do that works the best for me personally on getting those corners to pop out really nicely. So I take either like a needle like this, like just a little plastic needle, or I take like a seam ripper, and then for my seam ripper I just go in gently and then I grab and I pull out those points. Just ever so gently. You don't want to be, and this might not be the best option for beginners, but if you're a little more advanced or intermediate, like, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and iron this pillowcase out, and then you want to make sure, like these corners and stuff, the corners and the edges, you want to make sure that you iron those out fairly flat. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect because once you get that stuffing in, it's going to start getting, what's the word I'm looking for? Once you get that stuffing in, it's going to start laying flat and everything's just going to start popping out perfectly. So I just do this part to kind of use it as a guideline for the next step. So just go ahead and iron all the way around your pillow. And you guys, when you guys see your finished pillows that you've made, I want you to just be proud of your work, and I want you to tag me on Instagram what you come up with. I want to see if different colors would look, you know, more intricate, or if different fabrics would make a difference on how the pillow turns out, or anything. Like if you cut your pillow in different sizes, if you cut your pillow in different shapes. This is just, make it your own. That's what being creative is about. It's just making it your own. And if you don't have as much creativity as the rest of us, that's okay. You can just go exactly word for word, color for color, scheme for scheme, exactly what I did. All right, so now that we have that pressed out, it's looking nice. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and fold it in half once, and then fold it in half again. Again, you don't have to do this. This is just the perfectionist in me, and I do this as a guideline. So I just go ahead and iron this down just to have a little guideline for whenever I use my template. And that's it for the ironing. I'm going to go ahead and get the ironing board and the iron out of our way. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring our fabric back over. Now, this part you want to find out where your opening is. opening, you want it 2 places. You either want it up at the top or you want it at the bottom. Now I prefer it at the bottom because that's where your pillow is gonna lay on your bed or your couch or your chair or wherever you keep the pillow. Now, so that's that. So what I'm gonna do is I've got these 3 pieces of my candy corn. Okay, so it was just 3 pieces, and this was a coloring page that I found off of Google image search, and I just typed in candy corn and this is what popped up. But here's what I do. I kind of, you don't have to do like exact center, but I kind of like find where my center is and then line it up here, line this up with that line, and line that up with that line. So what I'm gonna do, and after I do it, you guys are not gonna be able to see it. It's really gonna be faint because I'm using a black pen on black fabric. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna trace each piece onto my fabric, and that's just gonna be my guide and my template for this pillow. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll come right back for you guys so that you can kind of get an idea of what it's gonna look like. You're not gonna really be able to see it, but again, so you can get an idea. So I'll be right back. Alright, so we're back, and I drew on my template. You guys probably can't tell because it is very faint, but I can tell when I'm working, and that's what you want. You don't want it to be obvious. Alright, so we've got our white pom-poms here. We've got our orange, corally, peachy kind of pom-poms, and then we've got our yellow ones. So we're going to go ahead and just start gluing them on, and I'm going to start with the white ones. So for the white ones, I'm just going to glue that top corner, and then that's it. We're just going to glue them all on, and I'll show you guys how it turns out. Alright, so now our little candy corn is made, and look how cute that looks already. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim up all these. Get rid of like all the little scraggly strings of, glue. And I'm going to go ahead and stuff this pillow, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you guys how to close it up and how it's going to look when it's complete. So I'll catch you back here in just a second. Okay, we are back, and we've got the pillow all stuffed up. So if any of the little pom-poms flatten, just shake your hand across them, and then they'll fluff back up. But so what I want to show you guys is how to close this up. Now there are a couple different ways that you can close the pillow up. You can hand stitch it closed, you can go on machine and close it, or you can use a hot glue gun. I was very intrigued by the hot glue gun method because that's something that I'm not used to doing. Normally I'll do a hand stitch to stitch it closed, but I want to show you guys how I do the hot glue gun method, because maybe that's something you'll try. So I'll go ahead and take my hot glue gun, and then just squeeze just a little bit in there. And then I'll go ahead and pinch it closed. And I like to squeeze the glue over to the seam furthest away from me. So I like to pinch it closed, hold it there for maybe like 5-10 seconds, not long. And then just go ahead back with a little bit more glue. Do the same thing, just pinch it closed. That's it. Just smooth your hands across it. Make sure you feel glue through the whole thing. And then you'll go ahead and press the pillow. Press that stuffing back down. And I kind of like to just kind of like smush my pillow around just a little bit. But that's it. There you have it, a candy corn pillow. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, loves.